Good morning. Today is Monday, July 14th. Hope you're ready to take on a brand new week. This is Wake Up with KERA News, and I'm Andrew Garcia. There's a pretty strong chance we'll see some showers and thunderstorms today. The highs will be in the upper 80s. Diagnoses of breast cancer continue to increase at a faster annual rate among younger women. We'll hear more about some potential reasons why in just a minute. But first, let's get into today's news. Flood warning and disaster preparedness top Governor Greg Abbott's agenda for the upcoming special legislative session. Critics note that the state had the opportunity to pass such measures well before this month's deadly flash flood. Michael Cohen was chief of staff of FEMA under Presidents Obama and Biden.
What I think the state legislature is going to now address is providing funding to local governments to have better alert and warning so that we don't see the loss of life that we saw in KERA County. Unfortunately, the families that have lost loved ones, it's too late.
Lawmakers will also be tackling a mid-decade congressional redistricting and THC regulation, among other issues. The special session kicks off in about 1 week. Several changes to a federal student aid program did not make it in the final version of President Donald Trump's spending and tax plan, and education advocates are relieved. The One Big Beautiful Bill Trump signed into law last week largely protects Pell Grants. It also provides more than $10 billion to fund the program, which helps low-income students pay for college. Will Davies with Breakthrough Central Texas says it's a bright spot.
I think this is sort of the best we could have hoped for in terms of Congress shoring up the program for the coming years.
Davies says there are some provisions in the legislation that will make college harder to afford, though, like caps on how much federal loan students can get for grad school. Despite huge leaps in breast cancer treatment over the last 2 decades, diagnoses of the disease continue to increase, and at a faster annual rate of late, 1.7% among younger women. That translates to thousands of new breast cancer cases each year. Dr. Lucy Wallace of Baylor Scott & White and Texas Oncology specializes in breast surgical oncology. She said no one knows the exact cause for the increase, but several are suspected.
The first would be a genetic component. About 6% of breast cancer patients carry a BRCA mutation. Among young breast cancer patients, that number is double. There are also lifestyle factors that may contribute. Alcohol consumption among young people has been increasing, and alcohol is known to be a risk factor for breast cancer. Also, obesity is on the rise, and obesity is a known risk factor for breast cancer, as well as for breast cancer recurrence. And finally, there are some environmental factors that may come into play. There's been a lot of attention to microplastics lately. Some studies suggest that women who are in their 30s and 40s now grew up in an environment where plastic water bottles and, plastic food storage containers having chemicals in them, such as BPA, Teflon pans, and other household chemicals were commonly used when this cohort of women were coming into their 30s and 40s.
Do we know that for a fact in terms of environmental exposures?
It's highly suspected. But these are proposed ideas that have been kind of put into the literature and are still under investigation.
By the way, when we talk about younger women, we mean what, younger than 50?
In general, most sources cite younger than 50. Yes, as a younger woman, presumed to be premenopausal. Now, some of our statistics focus on women under 40 because that is a group of women who are not accessing screening tools yet. And so, it's important to focus on that group separately, I think.
The forms of breast cancer tend to be more aggressive among younger women. Why is that?
Part of that has to do with the increased prevalence of BRCA mutations in younger patients. So we know cancers associated with BRCA mutations tend to be more aggressive. But other proposed ideas are that women who are under 40 or younger women in their 20s and 30s, if they feel a lump, They may just assume it's nothing. Breast cancer really isn't on the radar at that age. And so lumps that are palpated by a woman may not be addressed in a timely fashion, leading these cancers to be diagnosed at a later stage. But it is true, and we don't know all of the reasons why, but, younger women do present with larger tumors. They do tend to present with higher grade tumors, meaning tumors that are growing faster. And they also tend to come in with lymph node involvement in comparison to their older counterparts.
All of this said, what could be done to address this problem?
Still the most effective tool we have, again, is early detection. So I believe only about 62% of women in Texas participate in annual screening mammography. So I think if we could increase that number to 100%, it would be ideal. Average risk women should begin doing screening mammograms every year at age 40 and don't skip a year. And then before the age of 40, women should still practice what we call breast self-awareness. So be aware of your own breast texture, lumps and bumps. Notify your physician if you feel a change. And then again, knowing your family history, talking to your family members. Some family members don't share this information readily, but it's so important to know if you have a history of breast and certain other cancers. Again, certain biopsy results that may convey an increased risk for breast cancer. And then putting yourself in that risk model, taking advantage of all the enhanced screening measures that are available. That's really what we can do now.
That was Dr. Lucy Wallace of Baylor Scott & White and Texas Oncology speaking with KERA's Sam Baker. The Texas Rangers beat the Astros late last night by a long shot. The final score was 5-1. The Home Run Derby takes off tonight, featuring some of the strongest hitters in the league. Catch Basically Beethoven at the Moody Performance Hall in Dallas. The concert features the performances of professional musicians. For more information and some other fun things to do, visit our Go See DFW calendar at kera.org/calendar. Thanks for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. The show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter. You'll get a more in-depth look at the news with plenty of good morning vibes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.